In 2016 I, Plop Andrzej, requested political asylum in Poland, and according to Polish and international law, Poles do not have the right to collaborate with the authorities in Moldova or Romania, and they also do not have the right to provide any information about me, and they oblige also to defend me. The Poles violated all my rights and also collaborated with the Romanians and Moldovans whom I accuse of espionage in favor of the Russians. The fact that the Poles collaborated with the FSB KGB network from Moldova and Romania has only one explanation. The FSB KGB network from Moldova and Romania collaborated with the FSB KGB network from Poland, and that's why the Poles violated all my international rights. The FSB KGB network in Poland destroys those asylum seekers who are against the Putin regime. When I was an asylum seeker in Poland, the FSB KGB network from Moldova and Romania tortured a person very close to me who was in the Republic of Moldova. And you know, the most painful thing was what the KGB and FSB from Moldova and Romania did to the person very close to me. They were the destruction of the teeth, leaving only 2 front teeth. The Poles knew about these tortures, and they continued to defend them and collaborate with the FSB KGB network in Moldova and Romania. When I refer to the FSB KGB network in Moldova and Romania, I mean all Moldovans and Romanians, everyone without exception, who followed me in Poland. And when I refer to the FSB KGB network in Poland, I mean all Poles, again, everyone without exception, who collaborated with the Romanians and Moldovans who followed me in Poland. After I received a refusal on my asylum application in Poland, I went to Iceland and then to Canada. The Canadian intelligence services collaborated with the FSB KGB network from Moldova and Romania. I filed a criminal complaint with the Canadian Prosecutor's Office, but the fact that the Canadian Prosecutor's Office did not interrogate me proves that the Canadian Prosecutor's Office is also involved in acts of corruption and the cover-up of several crimes. Plop Andrzej. Excerpt from my book. Why is the FBI afraid I'll pass a polygraph in front of all NATO ambassadors and military attachés? Useful questions for Bulgarians and French to discover the Russian network in Moldova and Romania. As I mentioned that the FSB network from Moldova, starting with undercover activists or diplomats and civil servants, have been following me since I was a student at ULAM, but since 2017 they have been following me and every person I meet in every country. The FSB network from Moldova and Romania says that I am a Russian or Turkish spy, but depending on the situation, they also say that I am a terrorist, that I am gay, that I am anti-gay, that I worked and am working for services from Romania or Moldova, or that I betrayed the intelligence service from Romania, or that I am on a mission. Obviously, everything is fake. As I wrote in my book, Why Canadians Are Not Americans and Why Poland is the Most Racist Country in Africa. On the first day when I arrived in Warsaw, I went to the ABW, Poland's counterintelligence service. And everything this counterintelligence service had to do with the Moldovans and Romanians who were following me had only to ask some questions that I also wrote in the previous book. All ABW, Agencja Bezpieczeństwa Wewnętrznego, the internal security agency, had to ask some questions to Moldovans and Romanians. Why did you follow him? Who paid you to follow him? What job did you have before you started following him? How much money did you receive and how much money do you have in your account now? Who recruited you? Why did you follow him and not someone else? Why do you avoid meeting him? When parliamentary commissions will be created to investigate the corruption of intelligence or espionage services in favor of Russia, such as the Polish, Romanian, Moldovan, or American services, and also when I go to study at the master's program in Bulgaria at the Francophone University, please train the following questions to these intelligence services from these countries, or to those who declare that they are Turkish or Russian spies. Let's say that everything you say is true and Andrzej Plop is a Russian or Turkish spy. The question for you is, why are you investigating this case? Do you work for the counterintelligence service or are you an activist? Andrzej Plop is not a member of any organization, he is not a member of a party or of Freemasonry. The question for you is, if you work for the intelligence service, Why do you publish all the information obtained on social networks or communication platforms? Because, the intelligence services are supposed to only accumulate information, and if he has committed crimes, forward it to the authorities for investigation and prosecution. But you publish information on social networks. So the question for you is your goal to earn money? How much money have you earned so far? If you are activists, why were you allowed in Poland or Canada to follow him and publish information about Andrei Plop on social networks, considering that Andrei Plop requested political asylum in these countries? Did you have the permission of the intelligence services to film and record him? Because Andrei Plop wrote and writes hundreds of times that no one has the right or signature to film, record, or photograph him, and those who are doing these things are Russian spies. Who will pay for all the expenses such as accommodation, plane tickets, and bribing people? The fact that you won from hundreds of thousands of euros to millions of euros, does this mean that it is a business for you? So, what is the role of intelligence services in this business? Which ones and how much did they win? The fact that you were also allowed to register him when Andrei Plop was an asylum seeker in Poland and Canada confirms that you are undercover activists. And how much money did you pay the Polish and Canadian services to allow you to register him, to follow him and film him? Are business people paying you for advertising? Why did you rape the person who was very close to Andrei Plop? You all raped and you all saved her, and because you destroyed all the teeth in her mouth, the question for you is, why do you keep blackmailing her? So as not to speak to the authorities? Who are the policemen and from the Information and Security Service in Moldova who helped you to violate her? Who are the doctors who treated her, and did the doctors file a complaint with the police considering that you destroyed this woman's teeth? Were the doctors also bribed? Who are the politicians from the ruling party in Poland and from the Polish opposition, and also the activists who helped you in Poland to follow him and record him? Who are the members of the Canadian government, the Canadian intelligence services, the Canadian police, and the Canadian activists that you bribed, and how much money did they each receive? Who are the members of the Canadian government, the Canadian intelligence services, the Canadian police, and the Canadian activists that you bribed, and how much money did they each receive? How much money do you have in your account, in offshore, in crypto, and what assets such as real estate or cars do you have? Considering that your actions were illegal in Canada and Poland because Andrei Plop was an asylum seeker and you earned money, the question is whether you paid taxes to the Polish and Canadian states, especially the Canadian state, because in Canada Andrei Plop stayed for 3 years, and, well, how were you allowed to stay legally in Canada? Did you have a work visa, or in what capacity were you in Canada? What taxes did you pay? Did you stay in Canada for 3 years without a work visa and didn't pay any taxes? Who issued your residence permit? In Canada, were you as an activist or as a spy? If you had a work permit, did the Canadian authorities allow you to register Andrei Plop and earn money? Why do you denigrate him all the time? Because all your actions up to now have been illegal? As a spy, do you earn money from the state, or did you have other illegal activities through which you earned money? Since when have you been following Andrei Plop? How long have you been following Andrei Plop? What degree did you have at the beginning, and what degree do you have now? What do you think? Why don't the Russians talk about the Nazi experiments done by the Poles in the refugee camps in Poland? Because these Poles are Russian spies. Because the Russians are interested in doing Nazi experiments on refugees who are enemies of the Russians?